Hi, this is Chloe here at Inner Whispers. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Moon Oracle, and this looks like an absolutely beautiful deck. It's by Caroline Smith and John Astrup, yeah, got that right, and it's a practical introduction to lunar astrology. So there are 72 cards in this oracle, 28 are mentions of the moon, then there are 12 moon goddesses, which I adore, and then there are 32 cards representing the 8 phases of the moon in 4 different astrological elements, so earth, water, fire and air, and so the different phases throughout those, so that you can easily sort of figure out, well, you can figure out where you are in astrological lunar terms and see how that relates to your question, but then of course you can use the cards in an oracular way to see what they suggest at this time. And they have keywords as well, so they're very easy to read straight out of the box, but the more you go into the very thorough companion book, the more depth you get from it. I actually already had this set, but in Spanish, so I've never kind of shown it or used it on my blog because, hey, it was in Spanish, so that didn't really fit. But the cards are absolutely lovely, and I've had some really powerful and lovely readings with them. So I'm delighted to have this. I think it's a new edition brought out in English, so it was brought out in the past, and this is the most recent edition through Edison Sad. Let's take a look at the cards. So the deck comes in this quite large box, and let's take a look inside. So we have the companion book, which gives practical guidance on all of the cards and equally on the actual lunar astrological side of it. So moon in Scorpio, moon in Pisces, moon in Cancer, for the different potential fruiting moons in the water element, for example, or disseminating moon. Disseminating moon waning in water, as the full title goes. And these authors, Caroline Smith and John Astrup, have also done some, I think it's called the Radiant Sun Oracle, which is also really brilliant, a great way to learn more about solar astrology. So they cover it all, and I think that their knowledge really is quite in depth. They give you a quick key to the mansion cards, and all of that might go above your head if you're not too much into astrology, but it is explained very clearly in the book, so that you can start using the cards straight away with or without going into this more traditional lunar astrology side of things, because you can also just use it straight up as an oracle very easily. Let's see what they say about readings. So yes, they give a few spreads. 103 types of spread. They give a 5-card spread for the different. Okay, so you draw a moon goddess, a moon mansion, a moon phase, another moon mansion, and another moon phase to give you a sort of balanced reading. And here's another, the 7 sisters. So there's a couple of interesting different spreads, and then a version of the Celtic cross as well. And then there are various moon tables so that you can check out when what is and so on. So yes, because this is a new edition, it gives the moon table for 2016 and 17, 18. So an updated, wow, all the way to, where does this go to? So it's going to be good for at least 10 years, 12 years, 14 years, 16 years. This is a new resource, good for the next 16 years or so. So that's a nice added touch that it has been updated fully, making it worthwhile just in and of itself, I would say. Let's look at the cards. So they come in this pull-out bit. Personally, I'm going to put them in a bag, almost certainly, because, you know, yeah. It's not the best box in the world, and I wouldn't keep my cards in there long term, but that's a personal choice. So, this is an oracle, and the backs, as you can see, are non-reversible, showing, I'd guess this is Artemis, but we'll see when we get to the cards. So, showing a goddess on the back, and then let's do a quick flick through of all the cards. So we start with the crescent waxing fire moon, which is the shoots phase, and the keyword is impulse. You can also see the phases very clearly shown along the bottom, and there's always an interesting drawing inside which offers you, well, here we've got the moon phase and we've got this thing that looks like it is shooting and growing, so it suggests that in the image itself. First quarter waxing is leaves, competitiveness. Our gibbous waxing fire moon is the buds, individuality. So as you can see, you could just read straight off from the keywords, or also you can see what the image makes you feel, makes you think of. Here I see a sort of a spiralling, really, and there's obviously a lot of moon visible, and it's growing, so it's that movement, growth. Full moon in fire, flower, recognition. Disseminating or waning fire moon, fruit, confidence. Last quarter, waning fire moon, fall, opposition. Balsamic waning fire moon is the seeds and titled compromise. The black moon or the dark moon in fire is the dormant phase and titled recharge. So then we have the same keywords here, the shoots, leaves, buds, flowers, fall, dormant, but different keywords for this now being in earth, and that makes a lot of sense to me. You start out with your investment, you hope to develop a bit of stability, and I love this. The colours are really gorgeous in this, and that's, even though it's very symbolic, there's nothing too obvious. I mean, you've got trees, you've got the moon, you've got this opening. It does feel like it's very much opening. And in Earth, that's about ambition, for example. So you can see these are quite easy to read in a lot of different ways. Number 4 is achievement. The fruit is responsibility, a good one for the earthy people. Then we have principles, negotiation, and economy, so having to save your pennies in the dormant phase. In the air section we have idea, you start with the idea, whereas in earth you started with the investment. Then you need to be adaptable about it. You can promote it or get a promotion. Find a solution using your thoughts and ideas. Build your reputation, hopefully. That's when you spread your thoughts out. Then face a challenge as things start to contract. Have to make some concessions, perhaps, as you condense things down to the seed of the matter, and then in the dormant phase, revise your ideas. In water, we have instinct, choice, passion, fulfillment, commitment, manipulation. That's the kind of challenge card, is the Fool card. Disillusion in the seeds, and isolation when you're dormant, separated from others. And yet there is possibility and potential here, even in the isolation. It's like, that's what I see anyhow. Potential for new growth later. So then we have our goddesses, and these, I believe, if I recall right, are divided up into sort of maiden, mother, crone kind of thing. So we have the white moon, the red moon, and the dark moon. So we have Ishtar. I was right, it is Artemis on the back of the cards. Venus and Athene as our maiden goddesses. Then for our mother goddesses we have Hera, Isis, Demeter, and Gaia. And for our dark goddesses, our crones, or dark in any other way really, we have Lilith, Kali, Hecate, and Freya. And that's quite an interesting choice, because Freya is often associated with sexuality, as is Lilith actually in many ways. So it is that these aren't mothers, but they are very sexual beings, following their own rules. And now we have the so-called mansions of the moon, and these are different keywords once again. I'm not quite sure I understand the mansions of the moon. I have to say I can't remember because I had this deck a long time ago. I mean, literally, I think I had it about 12 or 13 years ago. A long time. Anyhow, we have volcano, musician, palace, and there are lots of astrological symbols for those that understand it to help you understand why they've chosen these keywords and the images. But I think you can also read it very much intuitively. You see palace, you see this thing, and it's in her mind, it's growing. There's the abundance. Musician is obvious, and yet, if it comes up in a reading as, what to do, it's find your own inner music, go to the beat of your own drum, or perhaps you need to bring creativity. So they allow for intuitive readings as well as being a good springboard for learning more about lunar astrology. And I often like that in a deck, that you can learn something from it as well. So we had stone, wheel, bridge, visitor, knight, picture. I take that as like picture as in vase, as opposed to picture as in someone who throws a ball around, which matches with the next one, which is fountain. Fortuna, the fall, altar, scepter, bouquet, and this is interesting, it kind of looks almost like a lover's card, and bouquet does suggest romance. Door, could be maybe called portal as well, that's an interesting one. Sword, has a justice feel to it a little bit. Sacrifice, has a hanged man feel. Two paths, choices. Precipice, duel, who is it you're fighting? Wedding, can you bring your elements together? Confession, mask, rebel, prisoner, guru, and sleeper. So as you can see, there are some really beautiful images in and of themselves. They're very evocative, and you can use the explanatory book, or you can simply read them intuitively. Both ways work. In terms of the cardstock, they're not quite holdable in one hand, for me at least, but they shuffle quite nicely. I'm going to do a side riffle, I think, because they're a little big, and that works quite smoothly and well. So altogether, a really interesting deck. A good way for connecting with the goddess, connecting with lunar cycles, learning more about lunar astrology, and yes, also great cards to place on your altar as a symbolic focus. And that's clearly, I need to get back to my altar. Yes, you're right, I do. Blessed be.